the brown pants.
Deadpool stands out as one of the most unconventional superhero films ever created, a movie that deliberately breaks the traditional rules of the genre while embracing its most chaotic possibilities. From the very beginning, the story establishes a tone that is wildly different from typical comic book films. Instead of presenting a polished hero with noble speeches and perfect morality, the film introduces a protagonist who is sarcastic, unpredictable, and fully aware that he exists inside a movie. This self-awareness becomes one of the defining elements of the story, turning the narrative into a playful yet surprisingly emotional journey that blends action, dark humor, and unexpected vulnerability. The film centers on Wade Wilson, a man whose life before becoming Deadpool is already complicated. Wade is not a traditional hero. He works as a mercenary who operates on the fringes of society, taking jobs that require skill, violence, and moral flexibility. Despite the dangerous world he inhabits, Wade possesses a sharp wit and a unique sense of humor that allows him to navigate life without losing his humanity. His personality is loud, irreverent, and fearless, making him both entertaining and unpredictable. Beneath the sarcasm, however, there is a man searching for meaning and connection in the chaotic world. Wade's life takes a meaningful turn when he meets Vanessa, a woman whose personality matches his in both humor and emotional honesty. Their relationship develops quickly but feels genuine because it is built on mutual acceptance. Both characters understand each other's flaws and past struggles, which creates a bond rooted in authenticity rather than perfection. Their love story becomes the emotional foundation of the film. Even though the movie constantly uses comedy and absurd situations, the connection between Wade and Vanessa gives the narrative real stakes and depth. Just as Wade begins to imagine a stable future, his life changes dramatically with the discovery that he has a terminal illness. The diagnosis shatters his sense of security and introduces the first truly serious moment in the story. Wade faces the terrifying reality that his time is limited, and the idea of leaving Vanessa behind becomes unbearable. His desperation to survive leads him to accept an experimental medical procedure offered by mysterious recruiters who promise a cure. Their proposal suggests that the treatment will not only eliminate his illness, but also unlock extraordinary abilities hidden within his genetic code. The procedure, however, is far from a miracle. Instead, it becomes a brutal and traumatic experience designed to force extreme mutations within the body. Wade is subjected to intense physical and psychological stress as part of the experiment. The process is deliberately cruel, pushing him beyond the limits of human endurance in order to trigger dormant powers. This transformation becomes the turning point that reshapes his entire identity. While the treatment ultimately saves his life by activating regenerative healing abilities, it also leaves him physically scarred and emotionally changed. The emergence of Wade's healing power is both a blessing and a curse. On one hand, he becomes nearly impossible to kill, capable of recovering from injuries that would destroy any normal person. On the other hand, the procedure leaves his appearance permanently disfigured, turning his skin into a map of scars. This physical transformation becomes one of the central emotional conflicts of the film. Wade believes that his new appearance will destroy the love he shares with Vanessa, convincing him that she deserves a life without the burden of his altered reality. Instead of returning to the woman he loves, Wade chooses isolation. He adopts a new identity and begins crafting the persona that will eventually become Deadpool. The name reflects both his mercenary past and the dark humor he uses to cope with his circumstances. By embracing this exaggerated personality, Wade transforms pain into comedy and chaos. His costume, weapons, and relentless sarcasm become tools for navigating a world that now feels fundamentally different. The film's narrative structure jumps between timelines, creating a dynamic rhythm that mirrors Deadpool's chaotic personality. Action sequences in the present are intercut with flashbacks revealing Wade's past, gradually building a complete picture of how he became the character audiences see on screen. This storytelling style keeps the momentum constantly shifting, balancing humor with action and emotional revelations. Deadpool's quest for revenge becomes the central driving force of the story. The man responsible for the experimental procedure represents not only physical suffering but also the loss of Wade's previous life. Determined to reclaim control over his destiny, Deadpool begins tracking down those connected to the experiment. His mission is fueled by anger, but also by the hope that confronting the people responsible might offer some chance of reversing the damage done to him throughout this journey. The film embraces a style of action that is both explosive and comedic. Fight scenes are choreographed with exaggerated flair, combining brutal combat with sarcastic commentary. Deadpool frequently interrupts the intensity of battle with jokes, pop culture references, and even direct conversations with the audience. This constant breaking of the fourth wall creates a unique relationship between the character and viewers, making them feel like participants in the story rather than distant observers. The humor in Deadpool is intentionally bold and unfiltered. The character's dialogue pushes boundaries, often mocking the very genre he belongs to. Superhero cliches, dramatic speeches, and cinematic tropes become targets for Deadpool's relentless commentary. This self-aware approach transforms the movie into both a superhero adventure and a parody of superhero conventions. Despite the outrageous humor, the story never loses sight of its emotional core. Wade's motivation remains rooted in love and insecurity. His fear that Vanessa will reject him because of his appearance reveals a deep vulnerability beneath the jokes. The contrast between his confident persona and his hidden self-doubt adds complexity to the character. Deadpool may appear fearless, but his greatest battle is not against enemies. It is against the belief that he is no longer worthy of being loved. Supporting characters add additional layers to the narrative. Some attempt to guide Wade toward a more heroic path, while others simply react to the unpredictable chaos he creates. Their presence helps highlight the difference between traditional superheroes and Deadpool's unconventional style. Where other heroes rely on discipline and structure, Deadpool thrives on improvisation and unpredictability. The climax of the story builds toward a dramatic confrontation between Deadpool and the man responsible for his transformation. The setting becomes a symbolic battleground where Wade must confront not only his enemy but also the pain and identity crisis created by the experiment. The action escalates with explosive energy, yet the emotional stakes remain focused on Wade's desire to reclaim his life and reconnect with Vanessa during the final moments of the confrontation. The film emphasizes that revenge alone cannot heal emotional wounds. Wade's journey ultimately becomes about accepting who he has become and believing that he still deserves happiness despite the scars he carries. This realization transforms the story from a simple revenge tale into a narrative about identity and self-worth. When Wade finally reunites with Vanessa, the moment captures the heart of the film's message. Instead of focusing on physical appearance, their relationship proves that genuine love is rooted in honesty and understanding. Vanessa sees beyond Wade's scars and recognizes the man she fell in love with long before his transformation. The reunion confirms that the emotional bond between them is stronger than any external change. Deadpool's success as a film lies in its fearless approach to storytelling. It refuses to follow the safe formulas that often define superhero cinema. Instead, it blends outrageous humor, graphic action, and sincere emotion into a single narrative that feels both rebellious and heartfelt. The character's willingness to mock himself and the genre creates a refreshing sense of authenticity. Another reason the film resonates so strongly with audiences is its emphasis on individuality. Wade Wilson does not become a hero by conforming to expectations. He becomes memorable precisely because he rejects those expectations. His chaotic style, relentless sarcasm, and refusal to behave like a traditional hero redefine what a superhero story can look like. Culturally, Deadpool helped expand the boundaries of comic book adaptations. By embracing a mature tone and unconventional humor, the film demonstrated that superhero stories could succeed without strictly adhering to family-friendly formulas. Its success encouraged studios to explore more diverse storytelling styles within the genre, opening the door for projects that might have once been considered too risky. The visual style of the film reinforces its rebellious spirit. Fast-paced editing, stylized action choreography, and creative use of slow motion give the movie a distinct energy. Even the opening credits reflect Deadpool's personality, replacing traditional introductions with humorous descriptions that set the tone for everything that follows. The characters' constant interaction with the audience becomes one of the film's most memorable features. By acknowledging the camera and commenting on the narrative itself, Deadpool blurs the line between fiction and commentary. This technique transforms the movie into a conversation with viewers, making them feel like insiders who share the character's perspective.